Okay. Well, I'm Danielle, and I am here with.
Hi, I'm Joan Brown, and I live just outside of Washington, D.C., and I am a school-based technology specialist with Fairfax County Public Schools. I work in a middle school, and we serve about 1,000 students.
Oh, wow. That's big, further than I thought.
hmm
Okay. Well, I would like to start off with your definition of what a technology coach is.
As you can tell, my title really doesn't say technology coach, but all of us in Fairfax County have taken that on as our role. Um, in the simplest terms, is to try to get teachers to integrate technology in their teaching. But I'm going to tell you that we see it in a whole different light now than maybe what was even 5 years ago. And that is, we're attempting to change a culture, and we're attempting to change education as a whole, which as a technology coach, you can do that at a school level much easier than you could do it maybe nationally. But it's amazing how many of us are making changes nationally because we are able to network together and to kind of get on the same page. So when I look at a culture in the school, I really work one-to-one with teachers primarily and trying to change the way they view their classroom, in the way they understand the difference between what is teacher-driven and student-driven, and the way they can see that technology is a huge piece of that. Um, it's it's never easy. It's never easy. Everybody comes from a different perspective. And as far as I'm concerned, you can talk about it being old school, new school. I don't think it matters the age of the teacher at all. It matters their own personality and how they feel about listening to other people's advice and change. Um, but in general, that's where we are as technology coaches. We are trying to drive change one person at a time.
Okay, so could you give me a basic rundown? I know your days probably are not typical, but what your daily responsibilities would entail on a typical day.
All right. Um, a lot of what I do is IT based, to be perfectly honest, and that's because our job was in the IT department for several years before it moved over into more instructional. So yes, I am level one troubleshooting. A printer is jammed, a teacher can't find an icon on their desktop, they don't understand why a certain program doesn't work, you name it, got to find them a mouse, can't connect their projector, etc. Um, so I am involved in just that day-to-day grind of helping teachers, and much of that is through email. Um, I just let you know I have probably over 35 signature files for my Outlook account, and they are the same questions that I get every single day from teachers. And all I have to do is go, oh, forgot how to change my password. Dink, and there is your answer. So a lot of what I do is repetitious and canned, and okay. So
Okay.
then, if I were to take that away and just say, what is the rest of my responsibilities? I am modeling and I am lesson planning and collaborative with many of the teams in the building. Um, we have collaborative learning teams that are meeting as a core group of teachers, so English, math, social studies, science, and then sometimes a special, and I will meet with them. And we do a lot of planning together, a lot of brainstorming, and then we do look at assessment data and we talk about strategies for changing the teaching. So that's a great bulk of what I do. Then um, I have my calendar available and I meet with teachers individually for all kinds of issues. It could be as simple as I don't understand how to use my gradebook, to can you please tell me what VoiceThread might be most conducive to in the classroom, you know. And those are the kinds of meetings that I do throughout the week. You know, start saying what do I do? It gets really fuzzy. I work with students too.
Okay.
This week I did Hour of Code with a group, and it was really a fantastic time. I have a video club that I work with after school that they produce videos, just a creative group. And then students are coming to me all day long, every day, with everything from how do I connect my phone to the Wi-Fi to Mrs. Brown, I can't get this project to my teacher. What do I do? So I work with kids. We also talk about digital footprint. I do meet in the classroom sometimes, make presentations. I've been walking around doing a lot of how do I upload a file to Google Drive on my phone. That's just, simple kind of stuff, but yet the word doesn't always get out to every kid. So I come around and I do them in classes, specifically for example, my language class. I've recorded an MP3. How do I get it to my teacher? Things like that. I could go on and on. I'm involved in lots of systems. I maintain accounts in a variety of systems, whether everything from Blackboard. We have testing systems. We have Google systems. I maintain the website. I maintain all the social media. It just is never ending.
So, compared to the other two people that I've interviewed, your job seems more troubleshooting wise. Is that correct?
I don't feel like that's the majority of what I do because we have another IT person in the building. But at the same time, if I'm walking down the hall and I happen to have that knowledge and there's a teacher there in need, I will help them.
Okay.
So no, I don't spend the bulk of my day that way, but I feel as though maybe half of my emails would be just basic, how do I do this?
Okay. So do you ever get emails from teachers asking you if they could purchase an app, and then what is the process that goes along with that?
We have a tiered kind of system, and it kind of depends. So it's interesting you ask that because our system for purchasing, say, iPad apps, we do have to get an Apple voucher. And I am the VPP, what is that? The Volume Purchase Plan coordinator in our building. And so I'm the only one with the account. So we purchase through our finance officer, and we get approval from the principal. Then I get the voucher, then I put the code in the Volume Purchase Plan, and then I'm able to purchase the apps, and I get to, put them down on all the iPads. As far as software goes, it can be purchased locally, although I think Fairfax County frowns upon that because they have so much already that's been purchased for the entire district. So we tend to use what they've purchased for us. As a straight-up example, are you familiar with SketchUp?
Yeah.
Okay, that's been purchased. The professional version's been purchased for use in our school, and that's on all the machines. So
you don't ever have to yourself ever purchase software?
Oh yeah. Yes, I've purchased Adobe software. I've purchased smaller packages. Yes, and it goes through our principal and finance officer. It's a little bit roundabout, but it can take like up to a month before the licensing comes through. So we have to plan way ahead, especially with those apps. I'm waiting on a voucher right now, and I know that within 2 weeks they need the apps, and I'm still going, I don't have the voucher yet. Oh no. So I'm hoping it's going to happen.
Wow. Okay, so what would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
Changing a culture is phenomenally difficult. We have a lot of teachers that are still into the presentation mode, and they do have their desk is in the front. They have their classroom set up in rows, and they are hailed as model examples, even by our administration, of fantastic classroom management skills. And I agree with that. Yes, if you want to see kids sitting in rows and quiet, go watch that classroom. You've got what you want to see. If you want to see kids, and I try to find a new word for engaged, maybe enthralled with what they're doing, that is not the classroom setup. And I do see those classes, but I'm frustrated because it's not as clear to everyone that that is the better learning environment. Not everyone sees it that way, and that's a tough one, tough sell.
Mm-hmm. So I have a personal question. Were you a teacher before you took this position?
Oh my goodness, yes. You want my whole resume? Oh my gosh. I taught everything K through 12, everything. Okay. I've worked in Department of Defense schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools, and public schools. Because I was a military dependent, we traveled around. My main teaching was history, but I have taught geography and contained classroom 6th grade, and then I was teaching computers to K through 8 was my last job before I got this one. So 13 years, done a lot.
I'm kind of going to go off now. You said you worked for the Department of Defense.
I did.
I am looking to do that later in life.
Best experience of your life.
Really?
Do it. Don't hesitate.
Okay.
Do it before you get married and have.
Well,
best.
I was looking on their website, and they say that most of the teachers that they hire, they want to have at least 2 years of experience.
They do.
So I'm gonna work at home and then apply. But I'm really interested in that. So when you said that, I kind of was like, ooh, cool.
Hey, if you are open to traveling, if you're willing to go anywhere, they'll hire you. If you start putting stipulations on it, and you say, oh, I only want to go to Europe or I only want to go to Asia, you're not going to get in. And just so you know, I mean, if you do happen to have to get stationed in Iceland, you can transfer. I'm sorry. I knew teachers that worked at Iceland. But so I worked in England and Panama.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Fantastic. I went off topic there.
No, it's good. It's a good opportunity, and I tell young kids all the time that before you get trapped in a locale, that opportunity, because it's hard to do when you have obligations.
Yeah, for sure. So, sorry. Now I'm going to keep asking questions about that. What? Okay. It might be different now, but how was the technology overseas and things like that?
They really try to do a good job. They have in the past patterned everything after Fairfax County Public Schools.
Oh, really?
In Dodea, yes. And so they have my position over there, and they have an IT department over there. They try to keep their computers as up to date as they can. But just like we have, I've got 10-year-old machines that I'm still trying to keep up and running. But that is their system that they use. They reflect ours, and so I'm real familiar with it. They do have, I think, a lot of still computer labs. The reason why is because some of these posts are very, very small, and it's tough to integrate a whole new style in that kind of environment. But I do know they have lots of computer carts as well, so they can get the laptops in the classrooms. So I would take advantage of whatever you can. I don't think a computer lab setting with desktops is inhibiting unless you make it that way. You just have to design your lesson around it. Yeah, we're going to walk down the hall this week. Big deal. Maybe it's harder for you to get up and work with your group, but I'll change seating and make that happen. It's not hard. It's just teachers have to think differently.
Okay. But
the coolest thing about Department of Defense schools is the travel. Just by the way, I mean, professional development. Like when we were in England, they flew us to Germany for professional development. So, awesome. When the kids play sports, they go to different countries. You're on the tennis team, you might go to Dubai.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's just like that. So that's the
awesome.
neatest thing ever.
I've been looking forward to working overseas so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. Okay, let's go back to
Go
what
back.
we were talking
Focus.
about. Actually, I'm on my very last question.
Okay.
What advice would you, a person like me who's going to be in the field soon, who could apply for a job similar to yours, what advice would you give them if they received the job?
You need to have a philosophy going in, whether it be a model that you choose, maybe it's the SAMR model, or maybe you have a philosophy about education in general, and you need to tell people what you believe in up front and why. Because you can get overwhelmed in a position like mine with the nuts and bolts of, I got to train you how to click here and do this and do this. Because a lot of what I do is training teachers like on grade books or on learning management systems, which isn't very philosophical. It's just the how-to.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to always fall back on your belief of where education is going and how it's going to get there. And my personal belief is it's individual teachers. It's a grassroots movement. I see it on the internet. I see all the blogs by these teachers. I see, Apple teachers. I see Google certified teachers. I see people making huge, huge changes, and they're doing it in their own classrooms, and then they're telling about it. And that's how I believe it's going to happen. And so I know which ones of my teachers I feel are going that route, and I just encourage them and push them all the time. That, hey, build up that PLN. Hey, who have you been talking to on Twitter this week? And what did you hear? And that they love those conversations with you. They cherish that time to talk to someone who's doing the same sort of thinking. And when the buzz starts happening because of what's in their classroom, the neighboring teachers go, wow, did you see what they did? Yeah, I want to know more about that. And that's how culture changes. So just don't get bogged down and focus on the big picture of where you're going.
I have one last question. Would you suggest being a teacher before you apply for a technology coach job?
Yes, your credibility. You have to have some credibility with these teachers. Just as an example, BYOD. Mm-hmm. There were so many teachers that were dubious about kids bringing cell phones into the class. And, they're like, oh, this is never going to work, and they're going to be texting and so forth. And I allowed that prior to the opportunity to be allowed, right? I had kids bringing in phones before there was ever a BYOD program. And I could speak from experience of, what? They didn't text. And you know what? They were looking up the words I was asking them. And you know what? They did use their camera properly. And I said, and here's why. Because they were fascinated that phone could be used for something academic. They had never thought about it. And you showing them that was brilliant. They're like, oh, great. You mean I can study on here? That's amazing. And, once you can speak from experience, you're then a part of their group. And they're willing to go ahead and say, yeah, she might have something to contribute.
Very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Sure, absolutely. Danielle, best of luck.
Thank you.
When do you graduate?
I have next spring.
Okay.
I do my student teaching in 2 more semesters.
Is that right? So if you do apply for the Department of Defense schools, that's just right down the road from me, where they do the interviews. Now, my understanding is you get into a pool and you get 2 chances. If they call you with a job, and I will tell you, sometimes they call you 2 weeks prior to starting.
Oh, geez.
They'll call you 2 weeks up. They'll say, yeah, we need you in Turkey in 2 weeks. Are you able to leave? So, you get 2 chances. One, if you refuse the first opportunity, you only get 1 more chance for a call-up. So there's your issue. Sometimes these positions come open in the middle of the school year, and you might be a contracted teacher working, and you're going to have to go, oh my goodness, I have a job. I can't leave in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? That's a problem. You know? I was just really fortunate. My very first job, I'll tell you how I got it. I mean, we were there overseas already, but they had hired someone and they found out that they weren't fully qualified. They finally got all the paperwork in, and so it was mid-September when I got the phone call. And it was a commute. I mean, I had to drive a long ways, but I said, yes, I'll take it. Because I knew if I turned it down, I could only turn down 1 more. I was just like, no, I'll just do this. And it was the best experience ever. I took this fantastic first job. It was a really small school, and the kids were phenomenal. I could do so many things on my own there. Very experimental that year, you know, so it was worth it. But I just let you know that because some people think I'm going to be able to, you know, negotiate with them and do things, and they have so many applicants they don't need you to negotiate. They can just go to the next one on the list.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, they do hire mostly in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind. But the calls don't go out till August. So if you've already lined up your job for the next year,
yeah.
You know, it's hard. People have to make tough decisions on when they get hired.
Oh, geez.
But you get all of your housing is paid for. There are a lot of places where they'll pay for your gas. It's just incredible. And you get, is it 2 shipments a year, I think, of household goods from the States?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can, like, go back home and buy furniture and have it shipped. I know. It's crazy.
No, my mom has a friend who works in South Korea on a military base.
Nice.
And that's how I found out about the program, because I mean, who thinks about there being schools that need teachers? Do you know what I mean? Like, I never thought about that. And
Oh, yes.
when my mom found out about it and she heard about all the benefits, she was like, it's a good thing to help you get rid of your debt.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
You do get paid really well. Their pay scale is nice.
Yeah.
The other thing is some of the places, like there's a resort in Bavaria in Germany, and there's a school right there because of the resort workers. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's like you'd live in a resort town, and just unbelievable.
Yeah, I would just
go skiing. I think once a week in that school. Oh, how tough is this?
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
You have a tough life.
Yeah.
No, I would love to be able to travel, and I know on a teacher's salary that's not always possible, especially being in so much debt. So I just thought it would be a great experience to.
It'd be great. It'd be great. Yeah. And the kids are so diverse and they're so cool because, to be honest, it's a different slice of life because even though you don't have the uber wealthy, because it's military families, you don't have anybody unemployed, you don't have, so it's kind of the middle of the road, all the kids, and they're all good kids. I don't know how to describe it any other way, so it's definitely worth it. It's the experiences. I would give it to anyone.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope it was worth it. I don't know if I said the right things.
Oh, no, yeah, you did.
Okay.
None of us really know what she wants. I'm making my presentation later today, so I don't really know.
Great. Well, good luck with it.
Well, yeah, thanks.
You're working on school on a Sunday? I mean, you have to give the presentation?
On Monday.
Oh, Monday. Okay.
Yeah, that's our final.
Okay. Oh, boy. All right. Well, good luck with that.
Procrastination at its finest.
All right. How many people did you interview?
3.
Oh, okay. I feel flattered. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thank you. I'm stopping this broadcast now.
Please. I don't need to be live.